Welcome to Knowledgeable Aging. I'm your host, Jason Kotar. Joining us today to talk about Technology Toolbox, up-to-date age tech tools for supporting elders and their families is Benjamin Sermi. Empowering people to thrive, no matter what disability or cognitive disorder they may live with, is the focus of Benjamin's work as a social gerontologist. Caregiver, Activity Director, Lifelong Learning Center Director, and Home Repair Coordinator were each roles that shaped his understanding of the unique needs of seniors. Currently, he guides the person-centered training for over 2,000 employees in 8 states, drives Koelsch Innovation Lab, and coaches 70-plus wellness directors and 32-plus executive directors who support over 1,500 seniors. How are you doing today, Benjamin?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Love what you're
Absolutely. Very good. Well, thank you again. For those joining us for the live webinar, if you have any questions, time permitting, we will do everything in our power to get your questions answered. There is a handout in the handout section of your toolbar on the right-hand side. And Benjamin, I'd like to turn it over to you as to what is in that handout.
So today we're going to be really speeding through some new tech tools that are helping families, helping professionals care for older people. The handout covers most of what I'll be talking about. So if you need to go back to something, you can get there.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Benjamin, I'd like to get started. What is the Koelsch Innovation Lab?
Oh, yeah. Well, the Koelsch family, they began one of America's very first assisted living way back in the 1970s, and have just continued to innovate with memory care and a variety of unique ways. These are pictures of actual places within some of our memory care that give the elders an opportunity to reminisce. So very forward-thinking family, creating one of the very first assisted living in the world. More recently, we've started what we call Koelsch Innovation Lab, where we kind of bring together new technology, new protocols, new training, and we test them in real-world settings. For instance, two of our chefs designed a whole program to raise the purpose that takes purees, which are important for someone with memory loss. Sometimes they can't swallow very well, so they choke easily and they need to eat blended food, basically. And nobody wants to eat blended food. And so they'll make a sandwich look like a sandwich, even though it's actually, you can use a spoon to eat it. They'll make French fries look like French fries. They'll make a hamburger look like a hamburger, even though you can eat it with a spoon. And it does wonders. We've partnered with a company called Eversound that helps all of our elders that want to hear better, even if they have hearing aids or they don't, or they just get confused by the sounds around them in a room, they are able to hear what's going on. So what we do is we partner with different companies that are like saying, we've got the greatest next thing for older people. And we'll say, all right, let's try it out. And so we'll usually do at least 6 months of an initiative. For instance, we did an initiative with this doctor, Dr. Colin Hubler, who designed one of the very first systems to help elders who are frail, who live in assisted living, who live in memory care, be able to do standing exercise. If you look across all senior living in America, very few have a standing exercise class because there is so much risk of falling. But his program permits older people to stand safely while they do their exercises. And if they just do the balance portion 10 minutes a day, the fall reductions are like 400%. So it's crazy, but that's an example of where we rolled it out at 2 or 3 sites, said, okay, we're going to see if this actually works and what the problems are. And then we give feedback. We give feedback to the designers. This is a company called Zinnia TV that makes technology. Basically, it's like a Netflix for memory care. And so all of the videos are 10 minutes or shorter, and they all have they're all designed specifically for people living with dementia. So we're trialing that or doing a research initiative on that as well to see how does this really impact our elders being able to see video during their day that's not violent, that's not controversial, that's very immersive, bringing them back to times, places, people that they love and care about from their past. So anyway, those are some examples of things that we've done at the Koelsch Innovation Lab, among many others.
Right. Well, let's step back and let's get into the conversation for today and talk about age tech. What age tech tools are important, Benjamin?
Well, so let's start by maybe defining, for me, maybe you can help me understand, why would your listeners care about this topic?
Well, obviously, I think, especially as we age, technology is all around us, right? And so understanding whether you're an aging individual or a family member or a caregiver, understanding the different technologies that can be an impact to them, especially if you are either living locally or living at a distance. And so maybe you have an aging parent that lives alone. So trying to be able to incorporate the technologies that can benefit both the aging individual and the family members or caregivers.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Okay, so you're working with professionals mostly who are advising families, correct?
Or,
Okay,
yeah.
so one of my and maybe you work with families too. Either way, this works for both groups of people. However, for professionals, maybe you're a senior living marketer, maybe you are a home health administrator, maybe you're a case manager, maybe you're a real estate agent who focuses on helping people downsize when they're moving. We all have a certain toolbox of things that are important to us. So when we're working with a family, they come to us and they say, hey, we need help. We don't know what to do with mom. We go to our toolbox. A lot of times what's in the toolbox is a home care agency. We might have a real estate agent who's really good at this kind of thing, maybe a downsizer. We might have a company that does transportation for seniors. Maybe we have a couple of our favorite assisted livings in town that we think these are really good places. And maybe we have a number to like the Medicaid hotline to get people connected with Medicaid services if they're financially just needing that. And our toolbox stops around that. Maybe we have a couple other things, but we don't usually have a whole lot. Well, there has been literally billions of dollars pouring into developing new tools for families caring for an older person. And so now we have hundreds of tools that we can add to our toolbox. And so that's really what this conversation is about, is starting to scratch the surface on these new tools and figuring out how to navigate this maze of new tools that were never available before. I mean, even 10 years ago, we didn't have most of what we can now access for families and advise that they consider. So why are they important? What situations can they help? What is in the age tech toolbox, and how can a family evaluate options? And I think we'll be doing a two-parter on this. We'll probably only get through part of this today. So why are age tech tools important? Well, what are some situations that the professionals you're working with or families commonly deal with right now, Jason?
A combination, fall prevention, individuals like you mentioned with dementia, and so understanding, if you've got a caregiver or a family member that's not local, how that technology helps them. So just a combination, security. A lot of times when you hear about the seniors being taken advantage of when it comes to scams. So when you look across the financial, health and wellness, housing, legal, the technologies that can impact the individual and their caregivers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. A lot of our professionals are working with really tough situations where someone is wandering away from home, someone is turning things on that are hot and that are going to burn the house down. They can't take care of their pets. I mean, there's a lot of situations that our folks are dealing with. Now, here's more of a rhetorical question, but what might be the cost of not integrating age tech? Like if we just stick with the toolbox that we know really well, the toolbox maybe we've used for the past 20 years, what's the possible cost of not integrating age tech? Well, here's a couple things. Number one, excess disability. There's tools now that can support a person living more independently for as long as possible, using their body more fully. But if we don't integrate these tools, then they may actually have to use the service of a care person, a care support person, in order to eat, in order to get out of bed, in order to get somewhere. That's excess disability. That means they're unable to do what they could do if we supported them in doing it, right? So we don't ever want someone to be more disabled than they need to be simply because they aren't getting the support that they need. That's not best practice. So think about this as things that a professional in aging do not want any of the things on the screen to happen, right? That's why we are professionals in aging services, is because we don't want any of these things to happen to our clients. Number two, high cost of care. They may end up paying more for care than they need to. For instance, they may be living in a beautiful independent living with delicious food and lots of friends, but they're going to have to move out to assisted living because of the various things that are going on in their body or their mind. But if they had a couple age tech tools at their senior living environment, in their independent living in their apartment, they might be able to actually stay there an extra 2 years, pay a lower cost than they would if they're moving to assisted living, and be able to save some of that money as well as continue in those relationships. 3 is low self-esteem. Obviously, if you can't get somewhere easily and you're relying on all your friends and family to get somewhere, your self-esteem gets decreased. If you can't feed yourself, your self-esteem decreases. There's a sense in which you realize I'm not as good as I used to be, right? And or whatever stigmas you've got in your life, you're kind of bringing that onto yourself, saying, I'm not as good at those things. And then disconnection from relationships, like that example I used just a few moments ago. That person could have continued being in those relationships, but because we didn't use age tech, they had to move to a new setting, moving unnecessarily. Maybe this person lives at home alone and they enjoy living at home because they've got neighbors and they've got cats and a dog, but everybody says, Mom, you need to move. Well, maybe they don't need to move quite yet, because if we put in some age tech tools, they can live there a little bit longer. And the last one is iatrogenic death, which means they're going into the healthcare system before they need to. They're going to a skilled nursing, they're going to a hospital, they're going to some sort of part of the healthcare continuum before they need to. And because they went there, they died, right? Because they went there, they died. Because it happens all the time. Older people, our healthcare system is not age friendly. And older people should not go into the healthcare system unless they absolutely have to. They should get all the services that they need at home, whether that is in a senior living apartment or whether that's a residential home. They should get as much at home as possible, because once they enter that hospital system, they are exposed to so many things that can kill them. So these are some of the risks of not at least dabbling in, entertaining the thought of maybe age tech tools helping. Does that all make sense, Jason?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's one of the things I know we're going to get into it next, and it's, the situations, right? Is how can age tech benefit somebody, whether they want to stay connected or they want to live independently. So I know we're going to go into that. So I'd love to hear some more about what you found there with Koelsch.
Yeah, okay. So, and the next part is kind of important. You got to, as a professional or as a family, if a family member is listening in today, we got to kind of lay some groundwork on where age tech can help and where it can't help, right? So currently, and again, this is because innovation takes time. There's been billions into this. There's been some years of research and development, but we're still not where we maybe will be one day. So age tech can help in these situations. Age tech can help in a situation where I live independently, where I call home, or I support, sorry, let me rephrase these. Age tech can help me live independently where I call home. It can help me support my parent at home alone, and it can help me reduce the amount of time it takes me to care for someone, or how much time it takes me to receive the care that I need, or it can help us stay connected and fully alive. Those are the 4 categories that age tech is really ready to help in. Age tech's not really ready yet in most situations if I'm a danger to myself. There's a few things we're getting a little close to helping in that situation, but we're still not really, if generally most of my life I'm not able to make sure that I'm at least not hurting myself or hurting other people, I'm not ready for age tech to kind of replace certain care tools. I can't follow verbal cues. If I can't even pick up the phone or have someone call me and say, hey, Dad, you need to turn the switch on, I'm probably not there. Or no one can help me manage the technology, right? If I'm in a situation where I'm all alone, I'm out in the mountains, and no one visits me for 6 months, most age tech requires someone to at least change the batteries, right? Or make sure that it's plugged in or something. So in these 3 situations, age tech's not quite ready. It may help a little bit with family very involved, but not ready if this is kind of your normal situation. So what's in the Age Tech Toolbox? Well, so I got overwhelmed. Like I saw, oh my gosh, there are literally like 400 tools now in the market. How do I even begin to sort through them? So what I did is I created my own Age Tech Toolbox that I'm sharing with you, which is how to organize these hundreds of new developments. And when a new one comes out, I just put it in the right category so that I'm able to quickly, when a family says, here's my problem, I can say, let me pull the drawer out of my toolbox that has what you might need. And so there's one category, which is the better body. That is things that can help me use my body more effectively for longer, right? It helps me be less disabled than I need to be. Then we have safe life. Safe life would be things that can help me live more safely. You know, typically family members are concerned that I'm not going to be okay at home, and I'm really enjoying living where I am at, but I'm not living as safely as I should. That's safe life. Friendship is the one where, you know, I need to be more connected with the people I care about, but because of my living situation where I am, I'm not. And then getting around is obviously, I need to get from point A to point B. How do I do that? And then at home would be, how do I pick a home to live in? How do I stay at the home I want? How do I take care of my home? And then well cared for. It's all the things related to caring for a loved one. Like, how do we give them their medications? How do we make sure they're clean and dry if they've had an accident? All those aspects of caring for someone well. The tool drawer that's not on here is the drawer that's really about living well. It's a totally different presentation. Like, there's so many tools just devoted to helping you use your brain better, helping you connect with travel better. Like, that whole realm is a whole other topic, really, just because there's so much now available. And a lot of it overlaps with tools that the rest of us use, even if we're not 90 years old. But these are specifically for really helping an older person live the life they want to live, the ones that I'm showing you right now.
Benjamin, when you look at these drawers, if you will, is the technologies that's coming to market, is it fitting certain drawers more often than others? Or in other words, is it focusing in certain areas and kind of some areas are kind of just, they're not really helping anybody there?
That's a good question. I would say, let me see if I can go back there for a second. I would say the friendship category gets a lot of attention, probably because of the pandemic. There was a lot of work done there. How do we connect older people from wherever they are in the world to friends, new classes, new experiences, to dance? Like, how do we do that? So a ton of work in connecting older people. Probably a good deal around safe life, because that's a big issue for a lot of families, is how do I care for them and protect them? There's still a lot that needs to be done in that category, but I do see a lot there. Getting around and at home are still very not a lot, and there really needs to be, and it partly because we have to use our imagination, I think, to think about how can we use technology to help choosing a home, engaging in that home, taking care of the home easier for families. I think there's some imagination that has to happen there. But yeah, I would say friendship is where most of the love is. Better body, I think we're starting to see a little bit, but it's still very, very in the early infancy.
One more question, if you don't mind. I want to go back to that, if you could, Benjamin. Yeah. With regards to those drawers, let's go to you as the professional, as the expert.
Yes.
How often are you going and updating the drawer with new technologies? In other words, are you doing it every 6 months, or is it once a year? And then also, as an individual or a caregiver, how often should they be going and trying to add to these drawers? So it's a two-part question, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Well, so for the family member, I would look for a professional within either a professional online, maybe someone who's on a YouTube channel or something, a professional who has some sort of service that you can talk to them remotely, or someone in your city, right? Whether it's a senior living professional, home care agency, somebody that you can go to that you see is really on their game and understanding the marketplace and what's out there. Kind of like when you look for a real estate agent, you want someone who really knows the market, who you can trust for advice. That's what you're looking for in a aging professional, whatever company they work for, because they work for all kinds of different companies. But find someone you can trust and you can go to with your problems, and that they'll do the research for you, really. That's the best scenario for most families, because most families are so busy. They're just trying to survive day in and day out. It's very difficult. For the professional, I believe that at least every 6 months is probably a good time to review the toolbox. Is there anything else I need to add to that? Some of us are always researching, so we're just always adding to our toolbox. Every time we find a new tool, it's like, add that to the toolbox. Okay, great. I try to at least once a year do a pretty thorough inventory of what's come to market. I really rely on Karen Etkin at the gerontologist.com, who does a ton of the legwork on her blog to gather the latest startups in one place, so that I can then research which ones I think the families that I consult with might benefit from.
Yeah, she just came out with a new book too, which is really good.
Yes, definitely worth following her for the latest and greatest. So do we have time to quickly go over Better Body in the next?
Absolutely. Okay. Let's do it.
So Better Body is the category of things that might help me live better using the body that I have, versus having to rely on other people to constantly support me, or maybe just not be able to do things at all. So first, there's a whole category of products that are trying to rethink the electric wheelchair. Anyway, why do we need to rethink that? We already have electric wheelchairs. Well, have you tried to put one in a car? Have you tried to use a little crane to get it in the back of your truck? Have you tried to get it in and out of a restaurant easily? It's not working for you very well. So the new companies are saying you should be able to have an electric wheelchair that fits in the size of a carry-on suitcase, right? You should be able to get this thing in and out of places easily. So Moving Life has done some really good work there in creating tools. Look at this. You can see, like, he's pulling up in a regular restaurant. All he had to do is pull one chair out of the way. He can sit right under the table. He's not having to sit next to the table at Denny's in the middle of the hall when everybody's walking around. I'm like, so many electric wheelchairs of today have just been so bulky. These are designed to be fashionable. This is a company called Wheel. Fashionable, easy to use, easy to get in and out of places, and be in formats that maybe are unexpected, because they are designed to look less like, hey, everybody, look, I'm quote unquote handicapped, right? They're made to look fashionable, so you would be proud to use it. And even people who don't have a mobility issue will be using these things in big cities when they're trying to get from place to place. So they're really trying to take away the stigma of using an electric wheelchair and make, oh, that's just for people with disabilities. So it's something that anybody would use, but is designed for a person with disability, so that there's no stigma around using electric mobility to get you from one place to the next. And self-esteem matters, and their tagline is, because design creates self-esteem, right? How we design a product can literally change someone's experience of being human. That's why this is such an important area of consideration. Seismic has developed the seismic powered clothing. This is intelligent wearable strength. The idea is that you put on this vest. This vest has been charging all night, and as you wear it during the day, it uses electricity, not to give you an electric shock or anything like that, but it uses electricity to power your back's ability to stand tall, right? It powers your ability to continue moving easily, and it actually helps with back pain. So someone who has really said, I can't do things I used to do, may find that by wearing this at key points during the day where they want to get a little work, they want to take a walk, they want to do a hike, they want to go just do a little bit of work in the backyard, this gives them enough of that strength to keep going. This is what it looks like when you wear it on your body. It's basically like some long johns, but the way that it embraces your body and gives you strength is pretty interesting. There's some great videos online that you can see that show how to do that. Liftwear is designed for people with tremors, people who can't feed themselves easily because everything falls off their spoon or their fork. So what Liftware does is they've created a spoon that no matter how you turn the spoon stays in the horizontal position so that you can get that soup to your mouth. It can be a game changer for people who relied on someone feeding them or only could eat finger food. Like they couldn't eat ice cream. They could only eat finger food, right? They couldn't eat the things that they really wanted to eat. This company designed a tool that goes over the hand. So it's not a silverware. It's something that's a glove. And the glove stops the tremoring so that they're able to write a letter. They're able to type on a keyboard. Mm-hmm. S3 Balance. This is a device that can be, we did test this one at Koelsch. This is the design, a tool that can be used in a personal home or in a senior living setting. 5 to 10 minutes a day of very simple balance exercises while standing can reduce someone's need to use a walker, use a wheelchair, maybe use a cane, can take away their need to rely on those things. And if not, at least help with being able to transfer oneself easier or stop yourself from falling. 10 minutes a day, 5 days a week. The results are really incredible. And the exercises are pretty simple. It's like lift one leg for 10 seconds. I mean, it's not rocket science, but most elders never do that because it's just too dangerous to do that without a tool like this. Eversound can help them hear better. They can hear their TV. They can hear people talking. Pocket Talker is a more individual tool. Eversound is more of a group tool. So senior living might purchase a whole set for their folks. The Pocket Talker can be purchased individually. You wear it in your pocket, put the headphones on, and now you can hear what's going on around you. It impacted my own grandfather when he used it because he could go back to a church service or a Bible study and hear what was going on and not feel he didn't like hearing aids. He was never going to wear a hearing aid. So this gave him the ability to continue being connected to the people and places that were important to him. This is a little device that sits on your glasses and it looks out for you if you have visual impairments. You can ask it questions like, what's in front of me? And it will tell you, there's a stop sign in front of you. There's a building in front of you. There's a dog in front of you. It will talk to you. It can tell you how to go, like which direction to head. It will tell you, hey, there's a door to your left, right? Because you're walking forward, you can't see. It's going to give you some cues as you go. It will recognize faces, familiar faces for you. So it will just tell you in your ear, you're sitting in front of Matt Jensen, right? You just are at a party and you can't quite tell who you're talking to. It will tell you who you're talking to. It will read you what you're looking at. You're looking at a newspaper, a book, a sign. It can tell you what you're looking at. Okay, so cool device that can help you get around if you have visual impairments and can't quite see your surroundings. So that's Better Body, and I'm looking forward to next time going through the rest of the toolbox with you.
I have a couple questions on this. Somebody asked, if I am getting into the whole area of technology to assist older individuals, are there Google type searches that will get me to the most relevant providers?
Boy, I have not found the right keywords yet to get me to providers. It's typically really about networking, knowing the people in the field, and going to various meetings that are talking about these things. For instance, on Clubhouse, I don't know how many of your listeners are aware of Clubhouse, but Clubhouse is a new app. It's been around for a couple years now. It's a listen-only app, talk app, where you create different clubhouses, different rooms where you can talk with people. And so every week, there are 2 Clubhouse meetings by a variety of age tech professionals that get together and just talk about what's in the news, what's new. And so that's one way we stay connected. I will say with Google, right, you may get somewhere by picking a very specific topic. Like for instance, stopping stoves, dementia will probably get you at least some of the tools that might be able to turn off a stove in case someone with dementia leaves it on. But you got to get pretty specific, right? Fraud prevention seniors app or something, right? Might get you at least the people who did a good job with their SEO optimization, right? There's still a lot of new people who don't have good credibility with Google yet because they're so new that you're not going to find them easily. But those that do, searches like that will get you there.
Somebody asked a question about technology. The age tech that we have right now, is it geared mostly for communities or individuals that are trying to age in place or to live at home?
Well, let's see. Virtually every tool that we've talked about today is available for both, right?
Okay.
I think maybe EverSound is the one technology I listed that it's kind of hard to do if you don't have 10 people living in a home together, just because it's fairly expensive. But everything else is built for either one. So I'm a big advocate for understanding home as wherever the older person wants to live. Like, that's home. If they want to live home alone with nature outside in their garden and their neighbors, like, great. If they want to live making new friends, going places, traveling, experiencing all kinds of new ways of learning, then senior living is probably where they're going to be, right? So wherever home is, they should be able to stay there as long as possible, and age tech can help with that. A lot of the tools that we're talking about today, the senior living company is not necessarily going to provide them. Most senior living is not like going to provide age tech tools. Most families or professionals still have to say, okay, in your apartment at the senior living you live, this is going to help you, right? This is going to help you stay there longer. At this point, most senior living companies are integrating certain tools. Most of them are more wellness related, like, tools that help you stay fit or something like that, right? Most of the tools we're talking about, the family and the professional still have to take a pretty active role in incorporating in that older person's life. And it's very custom to the specific needs of an older person versus like kind of a group technology that everybody benefits from. Okay, so Safe Life is the drawer. I call it Safe Life. This is the drawer that has things that can help you be safer. So for instance, one of the biggest issues older people deal with is falling. And you can break a hip and it can change your entire life. So if you don't want to have your entire life be changed, not be able to drive, have to move to a skilled nursing, have to give up, maybe lay in bed for 10 months and, 8 weeks and lose abilities that you used to have before, right? You want to protect yourself from falls. So this is a airbag, an airbag that only comes out if you fall. So it's a belt, and you wouldn't even know you were wearing it, or other people wouldn't know you were wearing it. But if you fall, the airbag explodes and it protects you when you hit the floor. At least it gives you a little bit of hope that you're not going to break some frail, arthritic, osteoporosis-ridden bones. It's a bit expensive, but it's way less expensive than the cost of having to sell your home and move somewhere else because you can't take care of yourself anymore. I think it's like $1,500-ish for the belt, but one fall can cost a family literally their entire inheritance. So think about that. $1,500 or my mom's entire inheritance has to go to pay for her care. And that's what a lot of age tech is. You're choosing between one or the other. There's also a lot in the Safe Life category, sensors. These do not necessarily directly save someone's life, but they can provide information that if you take action on that information, it might save their life or it might keep them safer. So for instance, this toilet seat can tell you how the older person's heart rate is, what's going on with their heart rate. Are they in a normal place or has something changed? We can find out their blood oxygenation. We can see a variety of things just from someone sitting on a toilet seat. And why this is interesting is because a lot of technology and sensors that we've used for years is fairly invasive, right? Maybe it's wearing something around your arm that's telling you all kinds of things about you or something. A lot of older people, especially if they're fairly frail and they don't really, they're not proactively making choices to, let's say, move to a setting where they're getting more support or something, like they're probably not interested in invasive sensors. So something like a toilet seat that you don't even really know is there. You don't even think about it, but it's tracking important metrics can be important. These kinds of toilet sensors like this one here They can look at things like, is this person constipated? Are they having diarrhea? Are they dehydrated? Do they have some sort of irritable bowel syndrome, right? They can screen for UTIs, right? Which is a big deal for many of our older people. It can literally change their cognition so severely that you think they have advanced dementia just because they have a UTI. Well, what if you can know that day one that starts? You might prevent a whole host of issues and hospital visits that you didn't need just because you knew they had a UTI and you didn't have to take them to the hospital 10 days into the UTI to get heavy antibiotics that totally changes their health and immunity because we just didn't know, right? So it can even help with looking for cancer signals. I mean, it's pretty amazing what can happen just with the toilet. Siren socks, these are socks that look like this. They're just normal socks with a little embedded sensors in them. And what's happening is diabetics can get ulcers on their feet if they're not careful, if they're not protecting their feet well, keeping their feet dry, if they're not taking care of their diabetes, their feet can develop some pretty severe ulcers. So these socks measure for the biomarkers or the signals in the physical system that would tell us that they're starting to develop one. And it sends signals to a team of nurses that are reviewing the data and deciding when they need to call a patient and say, hey, we need to get you into a doctor. It looks like you've got the beginnings of an ulcer. They're just washed in the machine. They're shipped. New ones are shipped every so often. It's covered by Medicare. Anyway, it's just another example of something that someone before maybe had to pay a doctor visit. They had to go to a doctor visit on a certain frequency. Now, just by wearing socks, they can avoid having to go through all the rigmarole, all the trouble of going to see that doctor as often. Then there's a whole suite of products. I'm not going to get into the details of each one. That would be a whole other scenario, a whole other webinar, where watches, straps, little watches on the body, and can tell an app that someone has fallen, that someone has left their home or left their neighborhood, can provide microchip, two-way conversation between the older person, wherever they are, and their family, can really take care of a lot of the issues that families are most concerned about. Maybe it's a pendant. There's pendants that will tell you if someone has fallen or not. Then they look just like jewelry. They look just like jewelry, right? So they're either a nice watch or their jewelry or their GPS soles in some shoes, right? All of these sensors now, the GeoBit, tiny little chip that can be put into a purse, into a jacket, into a pocket, anywhere you could fit an Oreo cookie, you can fit this GeoBit. So maybe it's less invasive, less easy to see, less, oh, I have to put this thing around my neck every morning, right? So all of these devices, the point of what they're doing is helping someone who's wandering away or getting lost. The family can find them, or the family can be notified that they have exit a certain area, whether that be I'm living an independent living and I will be asked to leave if I start leaving the community and I don't come back. That's a signal I may not be able to stay there. Well, if you're using one of these tools, you may be able to stay there. Maybe I'm in an assisted living and I'm gonna have to move to memory care and not have any freedom to leave where I'm living. But if I had a tool like this, I could stay there longer. Maybe I'm living at home alone and every night at midnight, I leave the house and my wife has to sleep in front of the door and she's getting tired. It's 2 years in and she's tired. She's like, I want to be able to sleep in my own bed. A tool like this might allow her to continue sleeping in her own bed because now the whole family gets an alert when dad's leaving and dad starts to do so less and less because family's more involved, right? So all these tools can help with a variety of situations relating to falls, etc. Another aspect of Safe Life is fraud prevention. How do we keep our elders safe from financial fraud? How do we do that? So EverSafe will monitor their financial situation so that the family can have an app where they can see any red flags and alerts and follow-ups that need to be done in any of their accounts. These are not necessarily giving the family access to make all kinds of transactions, but at least access to see what's going on so then they can take action, or the right person in the family who has the authority to take action can do that. These apps like EverSafe can or like Careful, EverSafe and Careful are the two that I'm highlighting here. They can analyze transactions and say they just paid for the same thing twice. They forgot that they already paid that bill. Oh, this is really weird. There's some ATM transactions. They never do ATM transactions, right? Or, oh, this is a new place that they've just transferred money to. May want to check into that. Wow, they're spending a lot more money on the home shopping channel than they ever used to. You may want to look at that. So these apps, EverSafe and Careful, help identify those various things, including late bills and changes in spending patterns. And you're able to coordinate with your circle of care and get them the help that they need. The other aspect is would be TrueLink. TrueLink is a tool that you can give a person with a disability this card, and it's basically an ATM card where you can control which stores they can spend money at, how much they can spend at one time, how much they can withdraw, if at all. Are they allowed to do any online transactions or not? So as someone journeys in their dementia journey, their aging journey, they may be able to do certain things at stage A, but at stage C, they can't. But if you start the card as early as possible, here's a new card, it's gonna help protect your funds, mom, then as their dementia changes or their cognition changes, you're able to start turning off certain features. But they're already using that card, and they might just call you if they see something's weird. They're like, hey, it's so weird, I tried to order 4 extra knives on the home shopping channel, but I can't. Oh, mom, let me take you to the store and let's look for some knives there. You have some options. Whereas if they just have a regular credit card till the very end of dementia, they're spending money left and right that they really need to save for care. So TrueLink can help solve that issue. Elephant can help with fighting phone scams. So for instance, you get that call, someone says, hey, it's your daughter. I'm on a mission trip. I'm in Nigeria right now. Can you send me some money because we're out of money and I need to buy an airplane ticket home? Right? It happens all the time. And an older person who's not savvy about the way scams work is going to fall for it every time. So what Elephant does is if a person calling in is not on that older person's contact list, then the Elephant begins listening to the conversation. It doesn't listen to any other conversations, but that conversation it does. And if it hears any phrases or words that might be a scam, it calls a trusted family member or friend and basically says, hey, we need to get you on this call. And so they 3-way them into the phone call. And then now that live family member can decide, is this a scam or is this legit? Telecom is actually a phone system that will help someone, especially with dementia, be able to continue using a phone and not do the dangerous things that they might do. For instance, many people with dementia will call 911 repeatedly just to have someone to talk to, right? They may call the same family member over and over and over again because they forgot that they called their daughter. They may also call in the middle of the night when family's like, please just let us sleep. Let me tell you, that kind of behavior is the kind of behavior that prompts families to move their loved one into an adult family home or something like that, right? It is so stressful to the family that it can literally change that family's willingness to support their loved one in their own home, whether that be assisted living or an apartment. So it's really important to take care of this, because otherwise families will feel this one thing will make them feel so unsafe and so overwhelmed that it can change their entire care calculations. So it can protect them from phone scams. It can stop them from calling TV stations and shopping channels and ads. It can reroute 911 calls. Very sophisticated service. And it's relatively cheap. It's like $50 a month for a family to have this kind of connected to their phone system. I do want to make a plug for this phone. You can find phones like this on Amazon. Just look for like dementia-friendly phones. Big buttons, big pictures of who each button will call. Love things like this for people living with dementia. And also, if you're going to use a smartphone, some of them actually prefer getting to use a receiver that looks like a regular receiver, because that's how they use the phone for 80 years. And now you're asking them to hold up a little tiny block of wood to their face. How does that work, right? So something like this can help someone, especially with dementia, be able to continue using the phone. Fire Avert will stop kitchen fires by telling that there is a smoke alarm and being able to recognize there's a smoke alarm going off, so I'm going to shut off the entire stove, right? Because that's a signal that maybe something's burning on the stove. So it's going to hear that smoke alarm, and it is going to immediately turn off that gas or electric stove. It'll do either one. Now, there is a new tool that I did not get to put here, but it is in the handout. And that tool is a new tool that will turn off a stove or microwave if it doesn't sense any motion in the kitchen for 5 minutes. If it senses motion, you're good to go. No motion, turns it off. So there's another newer entry to the market that I did include on the handout that you can find out about. Before I go on to friendship, any other questions from you, Jason, or anybody in the audience?
No. A couple questions for when we finish up, but you're on a roll, so we don't want to interrupt you.
Awesome. Okay, so friendship, I'm going to go through this quickly because a lot of us know about a lot of these options, but and I've divided them into several categories, and you'll see them on the handout. Basically, tools that I can navigate a TV with a remote that can help me connect to my family. So on my TV, I can talk to my family, they can talk to me. Independa is a great example of that. You can video chat, photo share, get smart reminders from my family right to my TV, and it just overlays on top of whatever TV show I'm watching, so I don't have to change to a different HDMI input. It's all in the same input. Great tool that can make a big difference for someone living at home alone to stay connected with their friends and family. I cannot maybe use a TV as well, but I can push 1 or 2 buttons on a screen. That's where you get tools like Comp, which is a little dial. They can be connected with their family on a little thing that looks like an old-fashioned TV, or Sociavi, which looks like just an iPad on a stand that makes it really easy to accept calls from family, video calls from family, without having to learn how to use an iPad or a smartphone. And you, of course, can lock down who gets to call that device. Connect, very similar, although it has lots of disability-friendly tools, such as multiple languages and transcribing the call for you, so you can read what the other person is saying. I can answer phone. So Family Jam, what it does is it deals with the issue of how do we help an older person stay connected with all their family when their family's busy, their family's working, their family has a different schedule than grandma does. Family Jam uses artificial intelligence to learn when to connect the generation. So it will call grandma and the busy son when the busy son's driving to work. And the busy son's driving to work didn't have to tell it. It randomly calls different family members until it learns when they're available to pick up. And then it makes that phone call for you and connects you both when you happen to be free. I can read or look at a printed book. We use this at Koelsch. Families can use it independently as well. It's called Familio. And basically all the family uses an app like this. They post pictures and messages to grandma. Grandma gets a beautiful full color magazine sent to her every Monday morning. Amazing way to keep the generations connected. This is what the magazine looks like. A powerful tool to keep the generations connected when the younger generations all want to use digital, but grandma and grandpa are used to paper. And that's how they communicate and how they know that they are loved. I can receive messages that play automatically. I'm on hospice. I can't use my hands. I'm laying in a bed. Family's remote. Okay, these 3 that we talked about earlier, Sociavi, Connect, and forgetting the other name, all of them, you can put it by the bedside and the family can just call right in and say, hey, Mom, I'm thinking about you. I love you. I want to tell you what happened today, and have a conversation. Even though their loved one can no longer use any technology whatsoever, they can still have a conversation with their loved one. Getting around. Okay, this refers to how do we make it easier for someone who can't use their own car anymore to get places. Well, GoGo Grandparent syncs with a lot of the tools like Uber, DoorDash, Instacart, and you don't need a smartphone. You literally just call a phone number, 855-464-6872. You call it and you tell them, oh, I need some groceries, here's what I need. Hey, I need a ride to the doctor. They take care of all these wonderful new services now available that are highly efficient and get you where you need to go. No waiting around for an hour for that special bus service to show up and then waiting around another hour for them to come pick you up. It's immediate. It's right away, just like anybody else in the world who gets to use Uber or DoorDash. You get the same thing, but without a smartphone. Hop, Skip, Drive is trying to help make it easier to get that transportation that you need with a person in the car who's going to stay with you, who's going to help you get to where you're going, not just drop you off the curb, but help you get to where you need to be. At home is trying to help people. This toolbox are tools that are trying to help us rethink how we do home. So for instance, someone may be living at home alone and they would really like to continue living at home, but they have 3 rooms, they only use 1. And maybe it's getting costly to stay there by myself, or maybe I need a little bit of help, taking out the trash, making sure that, you know, some of the chores around the house are done. No big cleaning chores, just the little things that over time add up if they're not done. Well, Nesterly and Silver Nest, both of these, Silver Nest and Nesterly, what they do is they background check both parties and they match people who have a certain city that they want to live in, who have a certain budget that they're at, certain lifestyle profiles. They match them. And so that the older person can feel comfortable letting another older person come live with them, or a younger person, maybe someone in college, come live with them. And they take care of the entire renting process, the experience, everything. They don't have to come up with a contract themselves or do anything like that. They just get matched, and the Nesterly takes care of all the rest of the businessy details of making that relationship work. Silver Nest does the same thing. And then of course, companies like the Koelsch communities, they're also innovating new ways to live as an older person that may be more engaging and more life-giving than just staying at home alone, because they're incorporating lots of wellness opportunities and tools like Eversound into the experience. Silver Bills help someone stay at home longer by helping them take care of all their paying for the utilities, paying for the rent, paying for all that stuff, that as you get older, it can be harder to manage all of that. Silver Bills does this at a price much less than daily money managers and accountants, right? I mean, you're paying $100 to $400 a month to $600 for kind of an in-person service. Silver Bills, $10 to $99 a month, taking care of all of your bills for you as you get older. And then well cared for is things that help us care for someone in our life better. So Care Circle with Carely, you bring your whole care circle together and you're able to communicate with maybe a doctor, a home care aide, your sister, your brother, a neighbor, and you can talk about things together and keep everybody in the loop, because we know that communication is one of the most significant breakdown points for good care. His daughter does this, son does this, doctor does this, and they're not communicating. And so care breaks down, person ends up in the hospital simply because there's no communication. Carely solves that problem. And then there are a lot of new tools that help us make sure mom gets her medication. So Hero is one. A lot of these will either do facial recognition, fingerprint recognition, or will at least only dispense what's needed at that moment of the day. Will track that that person took their pills and will let you know if they didn't, right? We'll let a trusted family member know, hey, your dad didn't take his noon pills, right? I'm only dispersing this if I know that he's here, right? So there's some tools now that are really going in that direction. How can we make sure giving someone pills is safer? Besides that little pill box, you don't know, did they take it or not? Or you get there a week later and they didn't take any of their pills and it's too late, right? You want to know the day that they didn't take their pills. Companies like FoodSmart are trying to re-envision how we get meals to seniors. They are trying to make it easier to follow your diet while getting prepared meals shipped to your home or easily pick them up. Healthrageous, delivering ready-made meals to your door that are more healthy than a lot of other options. Sunbasket, same thing. Healthy meals ready to go, no having to cook them. They're ready to go. Just heat them up and eat them. And these are listed on that little document that you have there. Jelly Drops tries to solve dehydration with seniors by making water in a candy form that is really fun to eat. So check Jelly Drops out. Just came to the USA this last year. Peel away sheets solve the problem of my mom lives alone. She has accidents and I have to come over and change her bed all the time, or she sleeps in it and it's just not okay. Peel away sheets make it really easy for an older person to just quickly peel off the bottom sheet. They're waterproof, so if they have an accident, then the next layer of sheets is not affected. But it's easy for the older person to just rip it off, throw it in the trash. Or maybe it's easy for the care partner, who might also be an older spouse or partner, to be able to quickly get the bed to a clean state very easily. And then of course, we can't forget taking care of pets. Just be aware, there's lots of options now for helping feed pets, give pets water, take care of pets' cat litter automatically, so an older person can continue enjoying their pet without their pet suffering or without the pet causing a health hazard in the home. This is a litter box that takes care of it for you automatically. So those are the things in the toolbox that I have right now. They're just a selection. There's so much more, but it's a starting point. Questions, Jason, or do you want me to get right into how can a family evaluate options?
Let's jump into it just for time.
Okay. So a family can evaluate options by looking at those things I talked about earlier, how you can know what friendship tools to use. Look, if someone has dementia, it's significant compared to life experience. There's different tools that you're going to need based on how significant the dementia is or whether they have used technology in their life. And then you're going to be asking questions like, how foolproof does this need to be? How tech savvy are the helpers in the home? How often are helpers present in the home? Where will they be interacting? The questions like that are really important to ask.
Looking into the future for age tech, is there one area that really excites you?
I think the area that excites me, that I'm still not actually seeing a ton of innovation in, is creating a better user experience for older people, whatever service they use. Whether it's I need home care, I need a real estate agent, I need a person to come mow my lawn, I need to enroll in a new memory care community. Most of the experience for older people is still fairly cumbersome. It's not easy. I want older people in the United States and around the world, when they need something, it's as easy as picking up the phone. It's as easy as pressing a couple buttons on a smartphone and you get the services you need. We're used to that in my generation, 40 years old. I'm used to being able to pick up a phone and I can get food delivered, I can get a car delivered, I can get an Airbnb immediately, and it's so streamlined. But for older people, just getting a ride can take them a couple weeks of paperwork, right? It shouldn't be that way. So I'm very excited about the people who are pressing the levers to make it easier for our seniors.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Benjamin. This has been amazing. How can people find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn. They can reach out to me at my email address, bms@koelschsenior.com, KOELSCH senior.com. Love to connect with folks.
Very good. Do you have a phone number on there? Do you want to give out that phone number?
Absolutely. I'm actually not sure where this phone number came from, so I'm going to tell you the real phone number. I apologize for that. 360-601-4959. 360-601-4959. Thanks so much, Jason. Pleasure being here.
Absolutely. And as far as Knowledgeable Aging, you can go to knowledgeableaging.com, see all of our upcoming and archived webinars. You can go to YouTube, type in Knowledgeable Aging, see. We try to update that a couple times per month. If podcasts are your thing, you can go to Apple Tunes, Spotify, etc. Till next time, I'm your host, Jason Kotar. This is Knowledgeable Aging.